Ready?
Yes.
Okay, this is the basic golf lesson that I've been wanting to teach for a long time. I have a great history in golf. I've been playing golf for 62 years. I'm 73 now, so I started when I was around 12. But I have been studying and trying to understand golf and teaching golf for 60, 50 years maybe. I started being taught by Henry Pickard, who won the Masters in, I don't know, 1940 or something, long time ago. He taught Jim Sharp, who taught Jack Grout too, and that lineage of teaching went through Nicholas and went through many other players. Unfortunately, I was taught the wrong method when Jim Sharp taught me. He taught me to roll the hands going back, and that is an awful way to swing, and it ruined my game and made golf difficult for many years. And then I figured out what was wrong with it and improved that. And this is the lesson to show you that golf in general is being taught incorrectly almost everywhere. Golf teachers, PGA teachers, and I was a PGA pro for a while, they teach golf by teaching body methods. They teach you to roll your feet as you swing and come up on the right toe as you swing through. They teach you to make the widest backswing you possibly can with your hands for extension, to keep your left arm straight. They teach you to turn this shoulder under your chin. They teach hundreds and hundreds of different little keys that they have learned that in truth almost do no good because they're not teaching what you need to know in golf, and that's what I'm going to show you today, so bear with me. Golf is not how your body swings, it's where the club shaft goes. You have to swing your body to make the club shaft do the right things. So on the backswing, this is the target line. You point the club shaft at the target line as you take it back, and you also hold. You don't allow it to roll open or to shut, you hold. So this is holding. So you point the club shaft at the target line. Then as you swing back, this club shaft points at the target line also. That means you're on plane. Now, the average golfer then swings down and hits, and if they're on the target line, they hit the shot at the target. It's an amazing thing. They learn this repetitive back and forth, and that's the golf swing for beginners, back and forth. Now, a pro, and as you get better, you point the club shaft at the target line, you point this club shaft at the target line. As you come down, you keep this club shaft pointing at the target line till it's pointed right here when you're in this position. You have these angles in your golf swing, these angles right here. This is what gives you power. And then as you turn through and swing, then you're hitting the golf ball a long ways consistently, but all you're doing is swinging the golf club in the right pattern. So as you swing back, you point the club shaft at the target line. You turn, you point the club shaft at the target line. You swing through, you're pointing the club shaft at the target line. You swing down, it's still at the target line, through, and that gives you the perfect functional swing. That's the lesson.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. So, as from the back, as you take the club back, you point the club shaft at the target line, holding. Then this club shaft points at the target line. As you swing down, the club shaft is pointing at the target line. The club shaft releases, pointing at the target line, and you turn through. The turn through is very important, of course. The target line is an interesting thing. This target line is pointed left of the target, which is your target line. In this case, I'm trying to hit a fade to the target. So I aim the target line left, open the club face 1 degree, and make a normal swing, and the ball will fade to the target. So this one is pointed left of the target, and as I swing back, it still points at the target line, swinging through, and if I swing through, I'll hit a fade at the target, okay? Now, this way, this target line is pointed right at the target. So if I swing on it, the ball will go to the right of the target, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm hitting a draw with this one. You close the club face 1 degree, and as you swing back, then swing through, pointing the club shaft at the target line, the ball will draw to the target. You're only aiming this much difference. You're not aiming this much difference. It's just a narrow column. You hit a fade, or you hit a draw, or you hit a straight shot. With this method, you can actually hit straight shots, and that's fine. The ball will still spin. It still works. Okay. The reason golf is so difficult is because there are so many variables in the game. The tall person, I'm 6'2", and the short person have different swing angles. I'm here, and the person that's 5'7" is here. The club is that much longer for him, and he's swinging on a flatter plane, which makes golf much easier. So we also have Trevino sets up left, takes the club out here when he takes it back, and still drops it into this position. This is the key position for everyone. Target line, target line, target line. And then he can't hit a hook. He always hits fades and draws. And the first time I saw him play at Firestone was hilarious because he hit slices after slice after slice until he got warmed up. But that's Trevino's method. He doesn't hit left. So Ben Hogan stands here and takes the club back, opening it a little bit. And he opens it on purpose, and he actually made fun of people that didn't. And he's opening it like this, pointing the club shaft at the target line. Well, the key is not the club shaft, the club face, I mean. The key is the club shaft pointing at the target line. It's always pointing at the target line. Then when he swings down and he releases, it's pointing at the target line. The momentum is going toward the target, not 30 yards right or 30 yards left. So that's the key, but it's still much easier to swing it back, taking the club shaft, pointing at the target line, keeping the face square, okay? Okay. You can't see these on the green because we're filming this with an iPhone, but they're pretty good shots, and they're firm and they're solid. And what they're doing is this method of pointing the club shaft at the target line, holding, and then as I come down, I point the club shaft at the target line, and then keep that angle as long as I can. And that hit down on the target line is what gives the ball spin and power at the target. And that's the key. You're developing that every swing. But the club shaft is determining what you do, not your body. It's not this move. There's so many ways to move your body. The club shaft here, here, here determines how you swing. Mostly golf is very complicated because golfers are all of different sizes, 5 foot to 6'8". I'm 6'2". It's hard for me to swing because a lot of my club paths become vertical on the shorter clubs. It's hard to swing and turn. The shorter golfers that are out here, this is an easier move. You're turning the body to swing the club. So this is Trevino when he takes the club back. He stands wide open with his feet. He takes the club way out here like this, and then drops it inside and hits the golf ball. And he's on plane, pointing the club shaft at the target line from this point to this point. But here, he's not. So that's a weird swing adaptation that works for him. Ben Hogan stands over the ball correctly and opens the club face as he takes it back with his hands, rolling it open a little bit. And this is the target line, but he's always pointing the shaft at the target line. Even in his backswing and on his downswing, he's always pointing at the target line. So any error he has is this amount that he moves his hands. The target line is excellent. So that means the momentum, the shaft is flexing, the momentum is going to the target. So if he takes it back and he opens a little bit, it doesn't matter, it's just a fade. If he closes it, it's a draw. So the club shaft position is more important than the club face. So the way you want to take it back is pointing the club shaft at the target line here, pointing the club shaft at the target line here, pointing the club shaft at the target line here, and pointing the club shaft at the target line here. That way your momentum is always focused on the target because you're using the target line to aim the club shaft to give you momentum. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. problem with most methods of teaching is they teach you to stand here and they teach you the grip and all that, and then they teach you to roll the feet as you take it back and roll the feet through, and they teach you to make a big swing arc here and then get up here and the biggest arc you can, keeping your left arm straight, and then the turn, and all the hundreds of things they teach you, the shoulder move of turning under your left chin, under your chin with your left shoulder. And none of these helped me as much as this thing I'm going to teach you. This is a pretty cool thing. What matters isn't what your body does. Your body's turning here and turning through. Now that's important, of course, but what really matters is what the club shaft is doing. The club shaft. As you take the club away, you have a target line. Let's say this is the target line. As you take the club away, you point the club shaft at the target line, so you know what direction it takes going back. You hold it instead of closing it or fanning it or rolling it here or taking it here, which just adds complications to your swing. You take the club back, pointing the club shaft at the target line. You take the club back, pointing the club shaft at the target line. Now, this club is pointed at the target line, the bottom line. And then as you swing, this club is pointed at the target line, and then at the target line, at the target line, and at the target line. And that is how you hit the ball squarely and strongly and with momentum. You're essentially taking this move, which is target line, target line. Target line going back, target line going through, pointing the club this way, but you're adding a step. You take it back this way, pointing the club shaft at the target line. Then as you take it back, this club shaft points at the target line from the grip end. And that continues till you get over the ball, and then you release. And that turning through is how you hit the ball far and straight and correctly. This is a departure from the normal golf teachings. This is what is missing from all the golf lessons I've ever had, all that I've ever seen. I've read books, I've studied this. This is a departure from those, because this shows you what the club is supposed to be doing, not what your body. They teach you you're supposed to roll your feet back and roll your feet and make a big wide arc with your club and turn this left shoulder under your chin. And all those things are great. They're normal moves. But now that you've mastered those, you're still hitting the ball all over the place. And the reason is this. No one has shown you that what hits the ball is this pointing the club shaft at the target line. The club shaft points at the target line. Here, pointing the club shaft at the target line. When you get to the top of your backswing, the club shaft is again pointing at your target line. As you come down, the club shaft is pointing at your target line. The club shaft is pointing at your target line, pointing at your target line, pointing at your target line. And there you're hitting the ball squarely with momentum, with just this tiny little percent of variation. Whereas if you stand here and go this way, way inside, you can hit the ball anywhere. The same with taking it here. The same with rolling it going back. You point the club shaft at the target line as you take it away, and you hold the club face, not to closed, not to open, but to square. This is an angle. I'll show you that later in the lesson. So you point the club shaft at the target line, you point the club shaft at the target line, you point the club shaft at the target line, you point the club shaft at the target line, you point the club shaft at the target line, at the target line, at the target line, and that's it. And now you have transferred all the flex and movement in this shaft toward the target where you want to hit the ball. That's where you're aiming. Now, obviously, the target line is not always the pin. The target line could be right of the flag. If you're wanting to draw the ball into the flag, then you stand up, you aim a little bit right, which is the target line. Close the club face 1 degree and make your normal swing. You'll hit a draw that'll start out right and go to the flag. If you're hitting a fade, you aim the target line left of the hole and you put the club shaft down and open the club face 1 degree and make your normal swing, and the ball will fade into the flag. So this is your target line. This is where you're trying to hit the ball. Not always the center of the green, not always the flag. This is the position you're aiming the ball at. And that way, all this flex and all this strength in these shafts goes down the target line with momentum and hits the ball square. That's half of it. The other half is, when you go back, you don't roll the club face, you hold the club face, you hold the club face square. You don't allow it to rotate that way or this way. You turn back keeping it square. You turn the club face, you turn the club shaft to point at the target line. The club shaft points at the target line. The club shaft points at the target line. The club shaft points at the target line. And if you concentrate on that and practice that, that will make you a better golfer. And also that will take, when your swing is messed up and you're not playing well, you go back to the basic pointing the club shaft at the target line always, and your swing will come back eventually with a little practice, a little work in your stance, maybe a little work in your setup. Okay, good. Now I know this seems repetitive, but you're pointing the club shaft at the target line on your backswing. As you continue the backswing, the club shaft still points at the target line, but this is to infinity on the right. But it's pointing at the target line. At the top of your backswing or any backswing, the club shaft at the other end is pointing at your target line. On the downswing, the club shaft continues to point at the target line, and this continues through till you've hit the golf ball. And here you are hitting the golf ball with the club shaft pointing at the target line, of course, but it's with power and momentum at the target line. And this is slightly after impact. The club shaft is still pointing at the target line. This ensures that you're on plane. The general swing is point the club shaft at the target line after you're setting up correctly. The club shaft at the target line, holding the face square. Pointing the club shaft at the target line at the top of your backswing. Pointing the club shaft at the target line as you swing down. Pointing the club shaft at the target line, this is infinity, as you swing down. Pointing this club shaft at the target line, and target line. And to do that, you have to turn through here to face the target, or the club simply can't release. You have to release the ball through to the target. That's pointing the club shaft at the target line, with the end of your swing being, the starting motion of your swing, or the end of your swing being facing the target. So you point the club shaft at the target line, and at the end you face the target with your body so that the club can swing through. Okay, so this is the golf ball in your stance. This is the target line, this line right here. And this is where your club should be when you're going back this far. So, as an example, you set up with the club square to this. I have my left foot back a little bit so I can clear a little easier because it's this little short wedge shot. But the club shaft, as you take it back, points at the target line. See that? The club shaft points at this line. And then when you go back to here, that's how open your club face should be. That's square. This is closed, this is open, this is square. So you want to be, this is the most important initial part of your swing. Taking it back, pointing the club shaft at the target line to there, taking it up further, pointing the club shaft at the target line. The club shaft points at the target line, impact, and through. And that's the swing. Setting up to the ball, the ball is located around here, a little bit forward to center, a little bit off the left heel. This is just a wedge shot, so it could be even back here, different type of wedge shot, lower and higher. Taking the club back as you set up with your body square to the target line, you point the club shaft at the target line as you go back, keeping the holding position. See the club face right there? That matching this line right here, that's perfect. You take it back to here. If you've taken it back this way or this way, it's impossible to actually get that club back to the golf ball. Here is outside, here is inside, here is open, here is closed. This is correct, pointing the club shaft at the target line, holding the club face. See that? And then from there, backswing, pointing the club shaft at the target line, the club shaft at the target line, down to the target line, pointing the club shaft at the target line, through the swing. That's the key. When your swing falls apart, which it will, you should go back to maybe the Ballard method or your basic method, where you connect your arms to your body and swing back and swing through. You're making your body do the turn and your arms are connected to you. As you do that, to practice, to warm up, you point the club shaft at the target line all the way through. Now that's correct. Inside like this is really bad. Outside like this is really bad. Turn the club shaft to point at the target line and make the Ballard method swing, where you keep your body connected right here, okay? Then you add to that, as you take it back, after you're starting to warm up a little bit, taking the club shaft back to here, and then turning this club shaft to point at the target line, pointing at the target line. But the Ballard method is a good way to kind of get your swing moving again. Okay. That's the Ballard method, turning through.